Number 6, the problem's not the problem. The way we're dealing with the problem is the problem. There are an unlimited number of ways to think about, experience, and respond to anything. No one is to blame, everyone is responsible. You and me against the problem, not you and me against each other. Now, I'm going to make some sense out of what I just said. And to do that, we're going to take a couple of people who have a lot of problems. Now, this could be 2 people that work together. This could be 2 neighbors. This could be 2 people who are married. I don't care. It's just 2 people in a relationship. But let's make it a marriage because that's considered one of the more intense relationships in most people's lives. Okay? So it doesn't matter whether you're married or not. I want you to imagine that you are at the moment. Right? And for the first couple of years, your marriage was really pretty good. You thought you made a really good choice and you were happy and everything seemed to be going pretty good. But as the years went on, things got worse. Every year it seemed to get a little worse. And now it's gotten so bad that it seems like every time either one of you opens your mouth, it leads to another fight. It's like you can't even say something simple like, do we have milk? Because there's going to be a fight about who forgot to bring the milk home, right? I mean, there's so much pain in this relationship that if either person says anything, we're going to have another conflict, problem, misunderstanding. And then, because each person is carrying around so much unresolved pain from the past, it just explodes into another episode of more pain. This has gotten so bad that the 2 people have decided it's not worth it to live like this. I can't go on like this. So they've decided to end this relationship. A friend in there says, well, before you end the relationship, I have a friend, Don. Why don't you go see Don just once to see if there's any way that he could help you? Okay, so now they're in the car and they're driving to their first appointment. They are not talking to each other because every time either one talks, it leads to another fight. And so they're just sitting there and they're pretending the other person isn't even there, but they're driving to their first appointment, and I want you to be one of those 2 people. Can you put yourself in their place? Now I want you to ask yourself, right now, going to this appointment, and I'm so angry and frustrated and I have so much pain in this relation, I can't stand this, but whatever you're at. Now I want to know, going to this appointment, what's your greatest fear? Anybody? I know what's wrong with me. Yeah, most people's greatest fear is that the person they're going to go see is going to turn to one of them and say, you know what, it's you. You're the problem here, right? Now, they walk in and watch what's going to happen here. I am going to very quickly and painlessly take the judgment and blame out of it, all right? Because they've been doing that for years. That's part of the pain in their relationship. It's constant blame, constant judgment, right? Each one pretending that the other person determines their response, right? And when I take the judgment and blame out of it, you're going to watch me magically put accountability and responsibility back into it. All right? So watch how this happens. I turn to person A and I say, you know, before we start, I just want you to know I don't think there's anything fundamentally wrong with you. Person A goes, phew, I knew it was them. But then I immediately turn to person B and I say, and, you know, person B, I don't think there's anything fundamentally wrong with you either. So now the judgment and blame is gone, isn't it? Okay? Then I turn to both of them. Now I'm going to put the accountability and responsibility back in, and I say to them, but you know what? I think there's a lot wrong with this. And I wonder if the 2 of you would be willing to work with me to see if together we could create something different here that would work better for both of you. Did you follow that? You see, problems don't reside in people, they reside in processes. Now, have you noticed whenever you get into a conflict, misunderstanding, communication breakdown problem with another person, where your mind wants to go is you want to create them as the enemy now. Even if it's somebody you normally love. Isn't that true? They're the enemy, and you want to pretend that the problem's inside them. And when you do that, you make it impossible to break through this in a constructive and positive way. Because if I come to you and I say the problem's inside you, what's your response? Well, I think you're going to say the problem's inside you. And now we're going to fight about whose is the problem inside of. And we're back into what? Judgment and blame. This is not going to go anywhere good. So we're going to continue to create the kind of pain that this couple is already intimately familiar with because they've lived it for many years now. So now I say to them this. Now I'm going to ask them to look at this with two very simple questions, which I will ask them over and over and over again. And we'll make long lists, and I'll record everything they say, and I'll put it on newsprint like you guys do here, bullets, and we'll have more than that. The first question I'm going to ask them is, right now, in your relationship, what's present? Now, by asking that question over and over again, what am I asking them to do? I'm asking them to describe this, aren't I? Now, this is not going to be hard for them to get into because they've been living this for years. So I'm probably going to generate a really long list, and it'll just keep coming, more and more stuff. They'll be describing that you never listen, you always twist what I'm saying, you're always accusing me, you always you know what all the crap stuff is, the dysfunctional stuff. That's what we're going to be talking about, what's present. Now, in them answering this question about what's present, what are they accidentally telling themselves? Whatever all that pain is that we have in our relationship, somehow or another we both created it. And if I can make them take responsibility for that, do you see what I've just given them? I've given them a gift, because the gift is this. If you know you created this and it's only causing pain and you'd like it to stop hurting, you know that you could create something else if you wanted to, but somebody's got to bring something different. Because nothing different can happen until somebody brings a different process. So now we don't want to get stuck in what's present because that's the pain. But we want them to fully feel the extent of the pain. Have you ever noticed that sometimes in our life, pain is a great motivator? Have any of you ever been in a place in your life where the only reason you changed your behavior was the pain got so bad you couldn't stand it anymore, and then you said, okay, I quit, I'll do something different. This happens in relationship all the time. So actually, it's really wonderful when you get somebody coming to you at this point, because you really can't screw up as a therapist. It's so bad it can't get any worse, right? And, so the only thing is you can get people who won't take your invitation to try to work on this, which is okay, that's their choice. But now I'm going to ask them to work on this, and I'm going to ask that with another question that I ask over and over again, and we make a long list with this. And that question is, right now, what's missing up here that if it were present would offer your relationship more positive possibility? Now there's going to be a long silence, right? Because they weren't ready for this one. And the truth of the matter is, if they had actually had a lot of insight about this wouldn't have gotten so bad in the first place, would have it? So I'm asking them to go where they haven't been. But they can go there. And then somebody might say, well, it'd be helpful if we didn't call each other mean, nasty, hurtful names. Or it'd be helpful if we actually listened before we jumped in and argued. Or, well, whatever they say. Now, this list is going to take longer. I could spend 4 sessions or more doing this list. And we're going to write it on newsprint like that. And then my next question to them as a couple is, can you look at this list of what's missing in your relationship that if it were present would offer you more positive possibility? And could you choose 1, 2, or 3 things that you would take responsibility for bringing into your relationship in the next 12 to 24 hours from the what's missing list? Could you bring that to this relationship and see if something different could happen? Now, what do you think happens if somebody takes that assignment? It blows their mind, because they do start to figure out, if I just bring something different, it changes what's happening. So now they're starting to feel empowered. Most people, when a relationship is failing, feel like failures, and they feel powerless. They feel hopeless. So this is also about giving them back their power to create it different. Okay, now this is very useful in a team, because teams get to the same place that relationships get. You can get a team that's totally dysfunctional. You're stuck, and all you're doing is blaming each other, and it's just not going anywhere good fast. At that point, you need to look at not anybody on the team. You're not looking at the members. I know we like to blame other people on the team for being the, obstinate stuck part of the team, but no, we want to look at what's happening between the team members, and we're going to ask these questions of the team. So we go around. So if I'm doing an intervention with your team, and you're the team that's dysfunctional, I'm going to say, well, right now I'd like you to take a couple of minutes and write down on a piece of paper what you see as present on this team. And then I'm going to come around and I'm going to get an answer from every one of you. And we'll keep going around till you run out of answers, and we'll put them up there like that. And then I'm going to do the next thing to you as a team. I'm going to say, well, right now as a team, what do you think is missing that if it were present would offer this team greater positive possibility? And now it'll take a little longer, but I'm going to ask each of you to come up with something that's been missing on the team that if you were able to bring it to the team and see, and I'm going to tell every one of you as a team member that it's your responsibility. Everything that happens on the team is your responsibility, and when something's missing, you have to take back the power to bring what's missing. That's your job, right? Well, that's your job in your relationship. So if something at home is not too good, something in some other relationship of yours is not too good, you could go off by yourself, sit down and play this game in your own head, and when you get to the what's missing that if it were present would offer greater positive possibility, guess what you'd be doing? You'd be empowering yourself with greater choice no matter what the other person does. See, when you choose to bring something that's been missing, you choose to bring a new process, it does not matter what happens. The other person can use their veto. For example, I could go up to Connie and say, I really like you. I'd like you to be my friend. And Connie could say, get away from me. I can't stand you. She just used her veto. Now, can I do anything about that? Not really. I can leave the door open, right? But she gets to decide. But if I know that I brought a healthy process where before all there was unhealthy process, I still feel good. I empowered myself, and that feels good, and it doesn't matter how the other person deals with it. You follow what I'm saying? It's a victory inside me. But what often happens, doesn't always happen, so I'm warning you, but what often happens is when people start to bring some of the things that we're missing, it dramatically changes this. And as soon as we change this, we have all kinds of new possibility in this relationship. Is this making some sense to you? So let's think about the most dysfunctional relationship in your life today. Could be your in-laws. I don't know. It could be somebody you work with. You don't have to share it. Just think about it. And could you do this little exercise inside your head for just a few minutes sometime and find out whether you're overlooking something that's been missing that you could do different that would make you feel different about what's happening in that relationship. That's taking back your power. So we try to fix the problem, not the blame. We realize that nobody is to blame, but everybody is responsible. It's you and me against the problem, not you and me against each other. Somebody once said, you can teach knowledge. That's all I'm doing. I'm trying to teach you knowledge. In other words, other ways of thinking about stuff. You cannot teach wisdom. Experience does that, and the required textbook is problems. You want to become a wise person? You got to have lots of problems in your life. Isn't that an interesting thing? So would you really like to become wise? Then you got to start wishing for more problems. Bring them on. Right? Okay. But you want to start to deal with them in a healthy and positive way. So I'm married to another counseling psychologist. God help us. And we both have done a lot of work with couples. And isn't it sad that I have to stand here today and tell you there are times when we've gone a whole weekend without talking to each other. We were in this, right? Either one of us could have ended it. And you know how much energy that takes? Have you ever been there? Like the weekends when you're supposed to be recovering and getting ready for another full week of work and, reviving yourself, and there you are, all your energy's in this negative place, and you're not talking and you're not sleeping right, and blah, 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 blah. And either person could stop it, but nobody does. Have you been there? Now, wouldn't it be good if we would decide not to stay there as long next time? Because either person could end it. There's a magical sentence that sometimes can end something like this. In 10 seconds. And I know people who would rather die than say the sentence I'm about to give you. Here's the sentence. I am sorry. I was wrong. What can I do to make it better? Do you know anybody who'd rather die than say that? And isn't that ridiculous? Now, that is a pathetic person. But and in some way or another, that used to be me, right? I didn't want to say that. It's stupid to not want to say that.